without further delay, we'd love to bring up our amazing panelists and moderator. Please help us in welcoming to the stage your moderator, Anu Smalley. And panelists, Bonzi Yelsangi, Kate McGaw, Sarah Capra, and Kemi Raji.
Thank you, Dana and Sherman. And thank you, everyone, for being here on day 3. My name is Anu Smalley, and I'm the moderator for this panel. I have the fun and exciting opportunity to have a conversation with these 4 amazing women. So keep your questions coming. We do have a list of questions that we collected before the gathering and during the gathering. So I'm going to start with those. But as you get your questions, keep them coming. We have some amazing stories here. So I'm going to do a quick introduction for these 4 ladies. And that I'm going to have to read and put my glasses on for reading. So I'm going to start over there with Bonzi Yelsangi. Bonzi is the CEO and founder of Attain Agility. In addition to being a certified Scrum trainer, she also is the co-author of the book, Sprint Your Way to Scrum. Very nice book, Bonzi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kate McGaw. Kate is the founder and CEO of ArcLight Agile, where she specializes in working with organizations on their journey to agility. She focuses on working with leaders, and her passion is working with leaders and teams to attain their potential. Sarah Capra is an experienced product leader focused on data-informed, product-led growth. Throughout her 10 years in the tech space, Sarah has led product development, partnerships over a dozen mobile and web applications, impacting hundreds of thousands of users. Sarah is an advocate for mentorship and coaching, and she has also spent much of her career supporting individuals in their personal and career growth. Thank you, Sarah. Last but not least, Kemi Raji. Kemi is the Scrum Alliance's, yes, woo! Kemi is the Scrum Alliance's first female certified Agile coach in Canada. Woo! She coaches executives around business and Agile transformation while working with teams to explore different ways of working. She is a member of the Agile Alliance Board of Directors. But here's the thing that I just love about Kemi. Outside of this Agile community, she's the founder of APTEI, an NGO based in Nigeria that helps to keep children from backgrounds in school. Her vision is to alleviate poverty through education. Thank you, Kemi. All right, thank you for that. Ladies, thank you for being here today. We have a bunch of questions that I want to get started with. So first question is for the entire panel, and we'll just go through each one of you. We'd like to begin with, what is your story? What brought you here? Where did you begin? Each one of you has such amazing different stories. So I told you, I promised you last night I would surprise you. So I'm going to start with Sarah.
Thank you for that. It's great to be here and see all of you. I have been always very passionate about international development, and early on in my career, I started at the United Nations Foundation in their Global Partnerships Department, splitting my time between partnerships empowering women and girls and on technology partnerships. It was there that I came up with an idea for a public speaking company, and fast forward, I quit my dream job, I moved to North Carolina, pack up all my things, and figure out how to run this company through this tech accelerator that my business partner and I had been accepted into. Spent the next 5.5 years running that, helping to bring more content to associations and nonprofits. And after that experience, I spent a lot of time reflecting on all of the elements of that I enjoyed the most, and looking for roles that fit that criteria. So not a specific job title, but looking for roles that were fast-paced, multifaceted, being able to work with people on a daily basis, involved technology, and product management surfaced for me. And so I started to hone in on those skills that seemed really important to be an effective and impactful product leader. I took courses in UX design and software development, started working towards my PMP, and eventually, after getting into a software development program, transitioned into product. And that's what led me here today.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm going to go to Bonzi.
Thank
Just
you.
keep you on your toes.
Morning, everyone. It's an absolute honor being on this panel today. I started my career as a software tester. In that organization, they were going through the Agile journey, and firsthand, I experienced how Scrum helps us organize the work and deliver value frequently to our customers. That was the beginning of my Scrum journey. And since then, it's been many organizations, many teams that I've coached, taught, and helped them, change the way they work, bringing that transformation and joy to what they do in day-to-day life. So that's brought me here today.
Thank you, Bonzi. Kate?
Thank you again for having me. It's great to see everyone and connect with everyone in person and virtually again. I think my career started slightly differently. I'm from a training and operations background. So to age myself, I was training Lotus 123 for DOS and Windows 3.1. So cast your mind back. So I came through the training and operations environment, and then similar to Sarah, through project management. Not particularly good at paperwork that was required for a project manager, so loved when Scrum came into our organization. We were totally unable to deliver any product in anything like the time frame our clients wanted. So we did a big bang Scrum approach, and I went on, became Scrum Master and coach. And then over the last 14 years, working in the Scrum Alliance community, becoming a certified trainer and coach.
Thanks, Kate. Kemi?
Thank you, Anu. Thank you, everybody, for being present today. It's good to see so many faces and new faces as well. My journey started as me attending high school and then going into a tertiary institution to study accounting. I'm not very fond of maths, and calculating things is not something I'm even great doing, except for money. So that was in Nigeria. I moved to the UK, and I still thought I could do some bit of, management. So I went to university at the UK to do management. It's still not something that I was fond of. As you know, a typical person will go through career change more than maybe 10 times or so. I did project management. I still wasn't happy because I'm this kind of person that gets bored easily. And project management, it takes like 18 months, as you know, to get the result. Stumbled onto Agile, and I was so surprised that you could get value and deliver it within this short space of time. I thought, no, that's my place. I found my happy place here. So over the last couple of years, or few years, I've been a Scrum Master, Agile coach, currently an executive coach for Crown Corporation in Canada, and doing all sort of certifications to enhance my service to people that I serve in terms of growth and learning. And that's me.
Thank you, Kemi. So I'm going to stay with you, Kemi, for a bit. You are the first Scrum Alliance coach female Scrum Alliance coach in Canada.
That's right.
So what advice would you have for other women or people of diverse backgrounds as they start their journey towards a certified Agile coach with Scrum Alliance?
Thank you, Anu. That's a great question. And I think it starts with the individual. Believe in yourself. Believe that you can do it. And speak to the right people. Speak to people that share the same belief with you. I was listening to Simon Sinek yesterday. Thanks to Bernie Maloney for pointing me to that recording, and it was just fantastic. He says that when you connect with the right people, you tend to find, your why, because they share what you have, and they help you grow as you help yourself grow in it. So becoming the first wasn't something that was handed over on a plate of gold. I had to challenge myself and speaking to the right people that, yes, this is what I want to do. And because I already have interest in Scrum and Agile, it just made everything easier for me.
So I have a question. You said, challenge yourself. You challenge yourself. What was one of the toughest challenges you had to overcome for yourself?
There's several ones, but I have a 5-year-old who is autistic. And I had to juggle that. And it was in the midst of him being diagnosed and everything. And I have other kids too. And moving to a country and a new country and trying to settle and everything, it was a huge challenge. So I'm a single parent, so that adds to the mix. And then, like I said, it is just a lot of challenges.
Yes.
But I didn't allow that to deter me from what I wanted to do. My eyes was on the trophy, and I believe that if I better myself, all the past would be forgotten. At least I can smile to it and accomplish what I've set myself. I have a Trello board which I have list of things that I needed to do, and I know I have shared some of them with you anyway. So yes, believing in yourself and taking one step at a time tend to go a long way.
Thank you, Kemi. Bonzi, this one's for you. As a woman, have you ever, I know we've talked about this, have you ever had people doubt your expertise? And has that been because of your gender? And if so, how have you handled that?
Many times, I've had to contend with microaggressions, bias in the workplace. Early in my career, I had realized that I'll have to work harder. I'll have to go way above and beyond to be heard, to be acknowledged, to be seen by others. In meetings, when you challenge somebody's ideas, or you give a different perspective, or you counter their opinion, our assertiveness can be seen as anger. You're asked to check your attitude, or calm down, take a breath. These are very common things that we keep hearing, and it's frustrating. It's disheartening to, even in this day and age, we have to hear these things. So all of this frustration, anger, I channel it towards honing my skills, becoming excellent at what I do. So this is how I overcome these biases and all these obstacles we face. Yeah.
Thanks, Bonzi. Sarah, product ownership, I know that's one of my passions as well. It's a special line, it's a special path. I've always enjoyed being a product owner, and I've learned, and as I've talked to other Scrum Master path folks, I've realized some lessons are similar, some lessons are very different being on the product path. So what have been some lessons you have learned on your product journey that you take forward to the people you're mentoring?
One thing that I've learned and tried to coach on is being much more attached to making discoveries rather than being attached to ideas. So, I think that when we're young, we're taught that being right is of utmost importance. And there's this doctrine that if we're wrong, then we're bad and we should feel bad about it. But the reality, and what we learn as adults, is that it's important to be curious and courageous, vulnerable and growth-minded. And everything is an experiment. Scrum has been applied all over the world, but to a multitude of different types of organizations, team dynamics, leaders. And so there's opportunity on a daily basis to discover something new. If you try something and it doesn't work, you just made a discovery. Inspect, adapt, move forward. If you try something and it goes well, you just made a discovery. Either way, you are truly progressing. And so instead of being focused on proving whether something is right or wrong, being focused on making discoveries that fuel progress.
Thanks, Sarah. Kate, mother of 2 daughters, you coach and mentor many women. What advice would you give to a young woman who's just starting the Agile Scrum journey?
I think to anyone starting the journey, it's connect with the people that are here today. This is the energy of the community. And it's finding the person that you connect with and accountability partner who can support you and help you grow. And I think probably more than anything, it's finding your person in the community and the pair of you growing and supporting each other while you grow.
So this is, again, I'm going to go back to the panel. You've all had very different paths to get here. So knowing what you know now, if you could give your younger self some advice, what would you say to do? What would you say to not do? What would you say to have the courage to not stop you from doing something? What would you tell your younger self? Kemi, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Anu. I would say things would fall into place. Just take a deep breath. I find myself trying to pile up things that I wanted to do, and it became very overwhelming. I had to remind myself I'm not in a race with anybody except myself, so I don't have to rush. So I started to put things in a bucket of, all right, this is great, but I'm not going to do it. This is what I want to do next, and I'm going to go for it. So the next thing I want to do, I talk to people around it and ask for opinions and suggestions. If I knew this earlier, perhaps I wouldn't have been stressing myself, because nowadays I just smile. I said, well, you've been fussing and stressing yourself over this. Look at it, it's so easy, yeah. But then I think about it, was it easy because I stressed myself, or was it easy because it was supposed to be? So just take it easy, one step at a time. Yeah.
So how many of you resonate with that? How many of you resonate with that? Yeah. Thanks, Kemi. Sarah, how about you?
I alluded to this a little bit in my last comments, but being more steadfast in approaching my work like a scientist, and focusing again on values and making discoveries over right and wrong. I think what I would do again is focus on communication and self-awareness as means for growth, both for myself and with the teams that I've worked with. I strongly believe that communication is one of the most important skills that we can hone in our field, because our work is so relationship-oriented and communication-based. Everything from illustrating product and project visions to bringing stakeholders together, resolving conflict, facilitating. Often when people ask what product books I recommend, I'll share books like Crucial Conversations and Think Again, The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know. Taj Moore, who's a product leader at VMware, said it well. If you want people to carry the torch, make sure your vision is ergonomic, easy to grasp, easy to carry, easy to pass on to others. In other words, make it plain spoken, relatable, and relevant. And I think that encapsulates so well the importance and the challenge of effective communication, and why I've advocated so strongly for it. So those are a couple of things I would focus on, and celebrating more, taking a step back and finding every small moment when I think you have particularly women who are drivers and achievers and also want to focus on empowering and helping others grow. It's hard to take a step back and celebrate yourself for a few minutes.
Yeah. I love that one, make your vision ergonomic.
Yeah.
I love that phrase. Very cool. Thank you, Sarah. Kate?
I think for me, it's around being more intentional. I feel as though throughout my career I've done what was needed, and it wasn't until the last couple of years that I thought, well, what is it that I want going forward? It took me till my 50th to say, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I think for that, I wish I'd had that thought earlier. But yeah, I think it's be intentional about where we want to go.
Yeah, that's something I resonate with. Like, how many others resonate with? Yeah, Dana's holding both hands up. Yeah, doing what we are expected to do, what we should do, rather than what we want to do. Yeah.
Yes.
Bansi, how about you?
I think I would tell my younger self that don't hold yourself back, because constantly thinking, what will they think? Or what will my manager think? Or what will my family think? If you want to get certified, you want to get that job, you want to do something, I think we should have the courage to ask for help, ask for mentorship. What's the worst case? They'll say, no, we don't have time. That's fine. I'll move on to somebody else. But you keep asking for that. And every time you're asking for help, you're learning that how can I ask for that help? You know, there are some things maybe you share first, and then they'll give you, their support. So don't hold yourself back just because you think, what will they think? They may not even have time to think about you. But that's what we keep thinking in our head. What will they think?
I think it's such great advice, and for me, every time I think about that as well, I think about how do I help the people I'm mentoring. So the pieces of advice all 4 of you have given are great pieces to carry forward for your own mentees. So we have a question from the audience. Rich has a question. What is your favorite film, book, podcast, whichever one, which has helped you in your career in Agile? Kate wants to start? Okay.
I think it was the True North Field Guide, because as I was having this conversation with myself about being intentional, I was working through that book. I hate reading technical books, but the field guide has places to write in it and things like that. So that's what helped me focus on celebrating where I'd come from and also identifying where I wanted to go to. So I think it was Bill George, True North Field Book or Field Guide.
Yeah. Thanks, Kate.
For me, it was Crucial Conversation, the book that Sarah mentioned, because I realized that 90% of the time I am communicating with people. And English is not my first language. I find myself saying some certain words that means different things to people. And when they reflect back to me, I become very emotional and not know how to handle that. So that book actually helped me in communicating and being assertive when speaking to a group.
Thank you. Sarah?
It's hard to pick just one. I'll go with How I Built This, which is a really interesting podcast about entrepreneurs who built their companies. And it's from the perspective of a variety of different leaders. So sometimes it's one of the product founders or the CEO. So you get people wearing different hats and their perspective sharing the development of that company. But what it reminds me of and what excites me about it and energizes me is hearing how scrappy and resourceful and persistent these entrepreneurs are, and knowing that when you're in Agile and things are constantly changing and you have to approach everything with grace and enthusiasm, it's really important to remember those lessons. Being resourceful is key, relying on your peers, your mentors, finding podcasts and other literature and resources to inspire you. So I would recommend that podcast.
Thank you. A friend of mine recommended that to me years ago, and I find it very fun to watch and listen to. Thank you. Bansi?
For me, one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Now, in there is a quote. He says that focus is the art of knowing what not to do. You know, we do so many things all the time, right? We're distracted, we are pulled into different directions, and we have to stay focused on what is the goal, what is it that we are trying to achieve. So I think that book really resonates with me. And as servant leaders, when we are helping our teams, we are helping them build a stack of good habits. That this, you know, you're creating a structure for them. So having these small habits and just taking them one step at a time is something that I always tell my teams.
Thank you. Great resources. Do you collect resources? How do you share the resources that have helped you in your journey with your community? Is there a particular way? Do you website, resources list? What do you guys?
I do send them out, you know, in the email, the follow-up emails.
Okay.
That is a whole list of things that I recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a slaker for resources. I tend to kind of like collect them and share.
Yeah.
Yes, I share too.
Okay.
I keep a spreadsheet, and actually I had a spreadsheet shared with me from a prior boss and Scrum Master, and so just continued to add on to that, and then also in my blog.
For me, it's a resources list. When people recommend things, adding it to it, and then it being available after classes and things like that.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Those were great resources and great points. So we have another question from the audience. It's from Rebecca, and I love the question. How have you learned to balance the personal and professional spheres in your life? So I'll give you guys a couple of seconds to think.
It is hard.
It is hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Something always give. But like Kate said earlier on, you have to be intentional about it. I know when to stop. I think my body knows when to kind of like say, hey, you've had enough. So I take a pause. And I set myself goals, smaller goals, which when I accomplish it, then it's my family. For the last 2 years, it's been like work from home, work at home, work within home, sort of thing. So I'm lucky to have my office. So the moment I close the office, that's the end of my day. So I draw a line. But I still struggle. So being intentional about it, and having time for your family, letting them understand what you're doing and how long for. So they are the stakeholders here. You need to carry them along. And when you're done with whatever you're doing, you then reward them. So like 2 Saturdays ago, my family, we went to Niagara, and I didn't have my laptop.
Yay.
So it was more family time. So and that's how I try to balance it.
I just want everybody to focus on this, what she said for a moment. I went for a family trip and I didn't take my laptop, yay. We actually have to plan that and be intentional about it, and that's important, right? Sarah?
I've learned that I'm a very big picture visual person, and so I make a vision board every year. And when I started making them, because I have them, I get very crafty with it. And so there are these fairly big displays that I have in my house. And the first iteration was cluttered. There were so many things on it. I felt like I had to do everything. I was thinking about all the things other people wanted me to do. And over the years, I've simplified it more and really tried to focus, because I know that the way my brain works is to think, a year from now, what do I want my life to look like? And if I don't have those visuals to guide me, okay, I'm writing a book this year, okay, I'm strengthening my relationships, I want to do more coaching, then those things will not happen. And so it's a constant reorienting, but every time I look at that board, it helps me reprioritize.
Wow, yeah, I like that, the visual reminder of what's your path. Yeah. Bansi?
You know, over the years, when you're so focused and always on the go, like, I want to get this done, I want to get that done. So at the end of one of the years, I realized that I'm exhausted. Like, I'm tired, and you feel like, where is this heading? Like this whole thing. And so what I started doing is I have a big transparent jar, and every time, even the smallest win, something very small, like somebody giving you a fabulous recommendation, or somebody saying something very nice, or you just went somewhere and you really enjoyed it.
Or you published a book.
Yes, right? So I started writing Post-its and then putting it in that jar. So now that it's visual, it's there, in front of me, that, okay, these are all the good stuff. Like, this is all the happy times. Yeah. Like, this is why, we're doing this. So it's just that visualization of, what is, because we're always after, what is the next thing? Okay, after this, what should we do next? But let's take a moment and celebrate. Like, we've got it.
Yeah.
Like, we're really enjoying it. So.
Yeah, I love the visual celebration, the ability to visualize your celebrations.
Yeah.
Stealing that.
Absolutely. Go for it. Yes.
Right? Great idea. I wonder if, what I might want to do also is celebrate my wins and celebrate the noise that I'm throwing away.
Yes.
And over the course of time, see which one grows faster. The noise will probably be faster if I'm intentional.
That's great. Right? Just crumple it.
Crumple it.
Not doing that.
Kate, how about you?
I think that the phrase that I try and remember is balance and boundaries, because I do a really bad job about switching off. My office is at home, so I don't do a good job. My phone is always with me. Even when I'm watching TV or talking to the kids, I'm sort of scrolling through, checking email. First thing in the morning, grab the phone and check the email. So I'm trying to put the phone out of direct reach so that by default I don't pick it up. And for me, particularly during the pandemic, it has been doing personal retrospectives. We all talk about doing retrospectives with our teams. I did a weekly personal retrospective. I would get in the car, would drive to the Arboretum, and just sit in the car by the plants and just think. And for me, back to what Bonzi and Sarah were talking about, visual, my visualization is I need to be in the middle of a wheel, of my bicycle wheel. And if I go too far down one of the spokes, then the wheel does not run smoothly. So how do I keep myself in the middle of the wheel? And my accountability partner, Anu, will say to me, where are you in the bicycle wheel? Invariably, I'm down a spoke when something's not working well. So for me, it's the visualization. How do I keep myself in the hub? And actually, I had a student a couple of weeks ago. She was struggling with the balance and the boundaries. So she gets in her car every morning, drives around her neighborhood, and comes back to her home office. And then in the evening, at the end of work, she gets in the car again, she drives around the neighborhood again for 10 minutes and comes home. So that was how she was helping with the boundaries. So I like that.
Yeah, that's
a good one.
Yes, that is.
Because you're used to going to work and coming home. Sometimes closing your door, it's easy to open the door and go back in and sit down. Right? Great ideas. Thank you for that. I'm going to pivot us from your amazing journeys and thoughts to more of real-world agility. We have a couple of questions around that. How can I be an agile leader no matter what my role is? Scrum Master, product owner, developer, leader, manager, business analyst, whatever the role is. How can I be more of an agile leader? I'll give you a couple of seconds to think, and then maybe start with Kate.
I think we see the words agile leader or leadership agility, and I think to me it is the mindset shift, the being able to pivot and support our teams, whether we're a Scrum Master, a product owner, an Agile champion, a coach. It's helping those teams continue to grow. And I think that is, no matter what our role in an organization is, we can help teams, we can help. I mean, we talk about agility at home, we talk about agility in the classroom. So it's the ability to inspect and adapt whatever environment we're in, and to make it okay for people to try something and fail. That's okay. I think, Sarah, you mentioned learning from things as we go. And it's encouraging an environment where it's safe to do that.
Okay. Kemi, I have one for you from a coaching perspective. As you've been a coach in various organizations and in your career, have you seen any patterns in Scrum teams that create inequity among the team members? And what have you tried?
Inequity happens
Everywhere?
everywhere. Teams, group, organization, in different form or shape. Bonsu was talking about microaggression. That happens. I think it's all about, in my opinion, having a working agreement, solid working agreement. How do you want to be together? But most importantly, how do you not want to be together? What are the qualities that you want to show up? What are the ways in which you want to work that would serve the purpose of the group? We all have different backgrounds. We're going to be stepping on one another's values. I mean, values that you know to yourself and another person knows about it. So it's all about you letting that person know that you find that offensive or you are triggered by what they've said and moving on. I have coached teams, and I was saying to someone that sometimes we say we are coaching teams, but how are we coaching these teams? Are we serving their purpose or serving our purpose? Are we letting them work in a situation where they know not just within the workplace, but outside the workplace what they value? And helping them to surface it, acting as a mirror, as they say, and being courageous. One of the values of Scrum, being courageous and letting people know what you're observing. So there will always be inequalities in the workplace, but we can reduce it by being intentional about it. I know people will say intentional, which can be a buzzword, but you need to do the work as a leader. Leadership is not a title as far as concerned. It is a role, and you can be a leader in that, championing inequalities.
Thank you, Kemi. So we have another question on career. So you all have amazing careers. So I'm going to have maybe each one of you speak to this. So I know when talking to various women in the community and for myself, having a trainer or a coach career means travel. And when you have kids and home, it's hard. So how can women move past in our Agile journey post becoming a certified Scrum Master or certified Scrum Product Owner? How do we carry forward? What's some advice you can give people who are there and they're looking forward to be more where you are? Bonzi?
I would say we have a fantastic community. Right? There are people who are more than willing to guide us, to help us. And there are tons of resources. I was talking to people, during the conference, and first-time attendees, I asked them, so, what is your takeaway? Like, you're here first time. And the most common theme I'm hearing is the fantastic resources that we came. One person said, I didn't even know that we had all of this available to us. My colleague said, just go attend, there's a conference happening in Scrum, see if you like it, if it's, and then he said that, my God, the amount of resources we have at our disposal, I wasn't even aware. So there is a really huge, very positive, I would say, community there to help you. So please, make use of it.
Yeah, Kate.
I think it's also having the support network. in the community and also at home. I know I was lucky in that my husband was very involved with looking after the girls. And anytime I would feel guilty about the pre-COVID travel, he would say to me, but if you were the husband and you were traveling, would anyone think differently of it? He said, what an amazing role model you're setting to the girls to show that anyone can do this. It doesn't matter gender, race, things like that. So I think for me, it was having that support network. But it's also, I'm excited about how our world has changed in that there is now the opportunity to perhaps have a slightly, back to your earlier question about the balance. I think now with the remote as well as in person, we have the opportunity. And it's also, again, back to that intentional, it's being able to say no, back to what Bonzi was saying, being able to say no and focus on what it is I really want to do.
Thank you, Kate. Sarah?
I love that. I would say get very clear on who you are and what you value in your personal life and in your career. I talked a little bit earlier about identifying the areas that really brought me energy and joy to figure out what path I wanted to go down. So I was never looking for a title. I wasn't concerned about the money. I wanted to make sure that if I was going to be working, sometimes 60-hour weeks or more, I wanted to love what I did. And so once you get clear on that, then pursuing different resources, communities, and mentors to help you understand. I sort of view it like when you go to the eye doctor and you're sitting there and they're turning the dial, clear now, and that's what we're constantly doing throughout life, right? But you do have to be intentional and continue to sit there and reflect and say, is it clear now? Or did I just take, maybe a lateral step that seemed like it made sense? So sitting with yourself and getting clear on that.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, and when it's clear now, you want to take some action. I remember seeing Anna Smalley for the first time in Minneapolis. She was standing on the podium with the NAG team, and I thought, I want to be on that stage next year. I want to be part of a Global Scrum Gathering team, and yes, I joined that team. So it's taking that action, reaching out to people. I would often go on LinkedIn, looked at someone who I think resonate in terms of what I want to learn or what I want to do, and reach out to them and ask for 15 minutes of their time. More than often, they give me an hour of their time. There are so many people, many of them here, who I don't even know. And some wouldn't respond, and that's fine. I move on to the next person and reach out to them, and yes, they will respond. So when you have the clear vision, take action, and plan how you want to get there.
So Bonzi, you said something about, you were talking to a bunch of folks here about what are they taking away. So what are you taking away from Scrum Gathering? Your first or your nth, whichever one. What has been your favorite takeaway from a gathering?
I've been hearing a lot of Scrum is dead. Scrum is not working anymore. All the negative stuff. This conference proves it otherwise. It's not dead. It's there. We have a huge community here. People are there to help one another. It's just your shift in the mindset. Scrum is there to help you. It's not something that, it's going to be there or not there. It's a framework, right? And along with the framework, the support, the community that we have here, I think I'm taking that from this whole conference, that it's here to stay. We are all here. We are there to help everyone. I think it's the positive note that I'm taking from here.
Heck yeah. Yes. Kate, how about you?
I think building on that, Bonzi, I think it's the energy for me as well. It's the energy that I get from attending different sessions, from meeting people. And it's the connections that we make over the years. Anu and I first met Scrum Gathering 2014 in New Orleans, and there are a lot of people in our community that I feel we click with very, very quickly and very easily, and it's using those people to help support you over the years. So for me, it's the energy and the connections.
Sarah?
At one point or another in each of our careers, I think we've felt like we're on an island. Whether you're the only coach in the room or the trainer, you're the only product owner or manager on a team. And I have this vision of Tom Hanks, right, in Castaway, and he's opening all the boxes looking for tools to help him because he has no resources, no peers, mentors around. And when you walk into this room, it's like you walked into a club made just for you. That energy, that unity, and that warms my heart and is encouraging for what future gatherings will look like.
Just give me goosebumps. So, Kemi, how about you?
I am a take up a butterfly. I kind of tend to just go around. So the corridor connection, talking to people, sitting in the coach's clinic and talking to people, listening to their challenges at work, and just listening to them solve it right there without me doing very much about it. It is just what I like.
Magic. Awesome, thank you. So there's another question from the audience here, and I really like this one. So you've talked a lot about intention, reflection, visualization, visioning, and having the courage to do what you need to do. But in order to do all of this, you need space to do this. How do you find this space to be consistent with all the things you've just mentioned? So I'm going to give you a second to think. Sarah, you want to kick us out?
Sure. I'll speak to the way that others have given me space. I think really having my back. There was actually an interview with Seth Godin where he said throughout his career he'd been through many speed bumps, and it wasn't people reassuring him that helped him get through those. It was knowing that someone had his back, and I think that rings true for developing more leaders in Agile, more female leaders in Agile. And the ways that we can do that, and that others have supported me in that, is by communicating and reiterating trust in the ability to deliver, course correct when necessary, be empathetic and direct in giving feedback, trust that that feedback will be heard and constructively acted upon, model accountability, create psychological safety. One of the things that a CEO that I've worked for has done really well in that area is in meetings, particularly when there has been a technical topic being discussed, he would say, I'm going to err on the side of providing more context rather than less, but if at any point you feel that I am mansplaining or textplaining, please let me know. And that provided an environment of comfort for me to pause the conversation if necessary and say, I'm familiar with this material, let's transition to the next item on the agenda. And lastly, I would add advocacy. I will always remember working for a company where the CEO carved out time every month to have a one-on-one with me. She would ask me how I thought the direction of the company was, my contributions, and when it came time for me to be up for a promotion, among the senior leaders who advocated for my mobility, I learned that she was the person who advocated most strongly for me. And what was powerful about that was that it caused me to rethink the way that I valued my time and my work. And so I would encourage everyone to be that person for someone, anyone who you think deserves it, but especially women.
Thank you, Sarah. Bonzi.
Just building off of that, we have to start putting the spotlight on women who are doing really well. Help them create that space where they come forward to share their stories. Even their obstacles that they've been facing and how they overcame that. We help them make that space. In an organization I was coaching, we had started this meetup. Every third Thursday, everybody gather in there, and you share, okay, what are the wins and what are not so great things, and how did you overcome that? We started inviting the leaders to these meetups, that these are the women who are helping in your organization, who are changing the way your team thinks. They are leading them through influence. That's what we do as servant leaders. So putting the spotlight on the women who really help them make those connections. Take them with you. I've had so many mentors here who say that, oh, you know what, I want you to meet her. I want you to go and talk to her. Come with me, I'm going there. I'll introduce you. That one introduction, that one recommendation can really, really help you.
Thanks, Bansi. Kate, Kemi, to add anything?
I just want to say I am happy when lifting off other people. You first need to create that space for yourself before anyone will create space for you.
Nice.
You need to communicate what you're looking for in that space. Take ownership. If there is anything that you feel that you can do, share it with others. Let them know what you do, because they won't know unless you share. At a workplace, take responsibility, take leadership position, let people know, let your line of report know what you have to offer. Someone told me that, what is your value add? Share your value add. Unless you do that, there will be no space. If people want to shine light on you, they need to know what you offer, right? In order for them to shine that light. If people are going to refer you or recommend you for something, they need to know what you can do. So don't be afraid to share that. I was always afraid. I think people will say I'm stupid, or think that what I want to say is stupid. But hey, what's that can happen?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you never ask, if you never tell, you'll never move, right? Thank you, Kemi. I think that resonates very deeply with me, because we hesitate to tell our stories, hence the panel, to listen to their stories, and all the other people. We'll continue the journey here. So thank you for that, Kemi. Kate?
And I think some of it, we've talked about making space. And I think one of the things that a mentor years ago told me is if I leave it to happen, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen by chance. My calendar is never going to suddenly miraculously open up for an hour for me to retrospect. But it is scheduling or blocking 30 minutes on my calendar, or trying to, doesn't always work, but scheduling or blocking 30 minutes on my calendar in the morning for some form of clarity break. Just checking in with myself on what the goals are. And some people don't want to do it every day. Some of the leaders I coach will want to do it once a week or once a month. And that's fine, but it's finding the cadence that works for you and the format that works for you. Because if sitting at your desk is not where you relax and become creative, maybe it's, depending where you live, driving to the beach or driving to the park or just going and sitting out in the back garden. It's what is that space that you're going to give yourself to sit down and think about what you want out of the next day or week or month.
Yeah, and I think I love the message that I think all four of you are bringing out, that you need to be intentional, but it has to start with yourself first. I love that. Because a lot of times I find we don't stand up for ourselves, and then we expect others to do that for us, right? Well, okay, so I have pivoting one more time. So the 2022 State of Agile Coaching was just released. Right? If you haven't seen it, go get it. good stuff in here. One of the things in here that is no surprise to anyone is in agile transformation, evolution in organizations, the biggest problem is resistance from management or leadership. Anybody surprised by that? Okay. So this is a known fact, right? So what have you tried as you worked with organizations to get past that resistance or help leaders understand that the team is not the problem, they may be the problem? What have you tried? Bonzi's going. So Kate, you want to kick us off on this?
Okay. I think a lot of it is around allaying the fears. I still see over and over again, if I have these empowered teams who are self-organizing, what is my role? I'm not going to be needed. And I think it's that mindset shift to, I am not here as a leader to be a chess master and move people around the board. I'm here as a leader to grow people and coach people. And I think helping leaders make that transition and the awareness that by doing that, and the team is able to be more self-organizing, there's more time for leaders to be strategic. We've talked about balance multiple times in this session. There is the opportunity to do that if they are empowering their teams to do what they've hired them to do.
All right. Bonzi, I'm going to go to you.
I love what you said about leaders are not chess masters. They're to just move them around from here. It's more of, leading through influence, right? We watch so many, motivational videos where they'll say that, okay, as a leader, move the authority to where the information is, or it's the culture change that we have to look for. So let's start with you. Right? We're watching all these videos. You want the teams to watch the video, but when are we going to start?
Yeah.
So it's more of helping them, being aware of it, that we have to start at the top.
Some good strategies.
I would say spend time getting clarity on what the concerns are. And so many times people want to be heard. And sometimes I think leaders will say things in front of a group that they would say differently in a one-on-one. And so carving out time and creating that space for them to share in maybe a more confidential environment. And then acknowledge the merits of those concerns. Often leaders have very valid concerns about shifting a construct that they've been familiar with for the last decade, and they're not going to know how to be a good leader in that new environment. And so if you can just, again, create that space to really hear them and validate those concerns that are valid. And then sometimes, it's important that we show the data, the impact of making changes, but sometimes there's still resistance. And in those cases, I would say be very direct in asking, what would you need to see for you to be open to change, or to be open to what this data is telling us, or what these anecdotes or what your employees are saying now with these changes. And that can often be very disarming, because then you're inviting them to the table a little bit more and asking them, what tools do I need to bring to the table that maybe I haven't already?
First, resistance has this negative connotation in it. So one has to be very careful how you portray that word. Leaders don't resist. A lot of times we have to look at how we show up and what are the information that we are presenting to them. If you're an internal coach, how many times have you said this to your leader, to your team, and they won't listen, but someone from the outside comes in and they will be like, boom, oh yeah, what was that?
That's never happened to anyone here, right?
And you're thinking, I've been saying this for so long. Why didn't anyone listen to me? And that's because the person coming from outside is bringing them evidence of success stories. So if you want to speak to the leaders, you want to speak their language. You want to present them with facts, data, like Sarah said, videos, case study, and things like that, and just put it in their face. If you want them to go to a conference, there was an organization I work for. We've been trying to get this company to go, to shift the way they work. And one of the VPs attended this conference, and he came back, he was like, wow, I found the solution to our problem. I thought, really? Okay, that's fine. But we got buy-ins, and yeah, so try different ways. Don't think they're resistant, but look at yourself as well. How are you showing up? How are you presenting those information that you want them to listen to? And just switch. That's what I would say.
So there's another question from the audience that I like here. This is going back to your personal stories. So what was, at the time, a negative experience you had in your professional career as a woman that ultimately turned into a positive drive or force or allowed you to change something in your life? That's a big one. That feels heavy instantly.
Yes.
You ready?
You know, in my extensive Scrum Master career, one thing I have learned is you are going to upset a lot of people in that organization because you are the one constantly saying no. No, sorry, my team cannot take this on right now. We are in the middle of a sprint. No, I'm sorry, Jennifer cannot come to your meeting. She's focused on this. So you are constantly shielding your team and taking the heat from everyone. Your team is going to love you. Because now they don't have to say no. They are not the bad people. They can stay focused on the goal. So initially it would really bother me a lot, that people are not, they don't like you in the organization, because you're constantly shielding. Your team is the only one who's loving you, but what about the rest of them? So I had a mentor say, so what? So what if they don't like you? Are you doing your job? What's your job? As a servant leader, you're there to help your team. You're doing that. So it's okay. You don't have to be liked by every single person in that organization. So I think that changed it for me, that it's okay.
Yeah. Cool. Kemi, I'm going to go to you.
Quite a few. For a very long time, I've been the only Black person in the room, whether at my workplace, a conference, or training, whether Scrum or coaching. Realized that I have to do double the work to get to any place or anything I want to accomplish. But it made me more determined. I've said a couple of times I didn't know I was Black until I come to North America, and that was because it's always a different thing. And I'm a Muslim too, so it didn't throw another mix into the thing for me. But then I was so determined, I'm not going to allow that to stop me from who I am and what I want to become. I mean, I got, like Chris said, I got this for free, so I can't change it. I can't change it. So, and we all have that thing that kind of like hinders us, but it does turn out to be the positive for us. So yes, I want to be recognized for what I've done. I want to be recognized for what I do, and that's what I present first, other than that. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kemi. Sarah?
During COVID, I was at a company where there were a number of layoffs, and I'm sure others have experienced things like this, but it was really hard to see your peers and mentors leave, and it was in a virtual environment, so you didn't even really get to say goodbye always in the way that you would have liked. I was fortunate enough to be able to keep my job at that time. But going back to balance, it was really challenging because the organization had decreased in size so much that there was still quite a bit of work to do, but now it was on the shoulders of a much smaller group of people. And there was this constant fear that someone wasn't going to have a job the next day. And being in a leadership role, there were times when I was worried about having to be the person to tell someone that, or I was going to be that person. And what I realized was how much people really showed up, right? In those really difficult times, people's character really comes through. And I was so encouraged being around such strong leaders during that time who showed a lot of courage to just do whatever it took to protect their employees, to make sure that they, had projects that were meaningful to them and that served the organization well, to ultimately make sure that they could continue to work. And seeing people in that light and how hard they worked and how much they pushed themselves, there were just so many incredible lead by example moments that created these lifelong friendships and modeled for me the way that I want to show up every day, no matter the circumstances.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, Sarah. That was powerful. Kate?
I think for me, it is understanding that, weird as it may sound, because I'm a fairly loud person, is let my voice be heard. Because I am a people pleaser, and I want everyone to be happy and like me. So I don't often speak up and say, actually, this is what I want. Many of you have heard the story. Last summer, I stumbled down some stairs when my glasses fogged up with my mask and broke both of my ankles. So I ended up in a wheelchair for 4 weeks. And that was the turning point for me. What do I want out of the next 5 years? And it was having the courage to let my voice be heard and say, this is a major change, but this is what I want. So it's, even if you are often a fairly loud person, is your voice really being heard?
Yeah, that resonates deeply. I think, Kemi, you're reacting to that as well.
I'm a people pleaser too, so.
So people pleasers? Yeah. People who want their voices to be heard? Yeah, exactly. So how do you get past that? I'm sure you've all experienced that at some point. What allows you to, so I'll go back to you, Kate. So when you made your voice heard, or you decided this is what I want, what was it that allowed you to stand up for yourself?
It was the support network. It was the people around me who really understood me to say, okay, that sounds like a great plan. How do I help you do it? So it was almost the validation that I was not completely losing my mind about what I wanted to do, but it was the accountability partner, it was the support network, it was people in this community.
Yeah. Bansi?
That's a really good point about the support in the community at home. When you have your partners tell you that, okay, yes, this is what, let's go for it. And also, it's more of you being okay that I may not get everyone to like me, and that's okay. Just coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
It's a major shift, because if all your life you've been a people pleaser, and now you have to suddenly be like, it's okay, that group doesn't like me, but this is what I have to do.
How many of you are having panic attacks saying, oh, that group doesn't like me? Yeah, I'm with you there, sister. Right? And by the way, I hope you're taking away the number of times these 4 amazing women have said community, network. That is key to what we are trying to do here, right? Sarah, how do you find your courage?
Several years ago on a performance evaluation, someone wrote, I would have Sarah advocate for herself more, and then inserted an example of the one time that I did it. And when I read that, for some reason I was really surprised, even though I knew that to be true, that I didn't advocate for myself very often. And I was so focused on being the strongest servant leader I could be, protecting the team, making sure I was serving the organization. And it made me sad that I was glad and felt privileged to have the opportunity to exert the energy to advocate for those that I worked with. But I couldn't believe that I wasn't sparing any time or energy to do that for myself. And so I still am challenged with that today, but that plays in my mind every time I'm going to walk into a room and I need to make a presentation or try to talk about, a change I would like to make in the product or something the team wants to do. And if you don't stand up for yourself, like Cami was talking about, no one's gonna know. We store all this information in our head and we know what our experience is and all the things that we've been through. And it's really easy to forget that other people don't. And there's sometimes that fear that it won't, when you're talking about it, it won't come out with humility. But if you don't talk about it at all, then there's no opportunity for anyone to know. So I think risking talking about it and not, sort of coming off the way that you intend to and fine-tuning that over time is a much better strategy than just not saying anything at all.
Yeah.
So there's just following up on this, and maybe I'll start with you, Kemi, on this. I think all four of you have said, stand up for yourself, speak for yourself, make your own space, advocate for yourself. So Amber, great question. I have the same question. What does it mean to advocate for yourself? What does it look like?
You just have to use your voice, as they always say, and knowing what you want, but be assertive about it, and also know when to stop. Anna, you remember we had a session, and as you were talking, it just went through my head. I was panicking. Anna had asked me to do something, and I have spoken to so many people around the similar thing. So when she came online, I was like, I know I'm so stressed out now. I was almost in tears, and I said to her, I need someone to kick me in the backside, and she said she was going to do it. And she just shouted at me. So just say what you...
Rephrase that. Don't tell people I shout at you.
Encourage.
Well,
Encourage.
No, I don't mean it in that way, but that was what I needed at that point.
Well,
right.
She said I need somebody to kick my ass.
Yeah.
I said, I'm here.
Yeah, so, so the shouting was what I received. Not that she shouted, but the shouting was what I received in there, and I just stopped. And I said, thank you. That was what I needed. So advocating for yourself is about letting people know what you stand for, what you want from them. And coaching helps a lot. I went on coaching, and I have a coach, and it depends on what you're trying to do. You have a coach, they listen to you. And when I went on that training, the couple of training, I would go into the class and I would cry. It's so much so that the third one, I told a colleague, oh my gosh, I'm going to cry this week again. And they said, what? I said, I'm going for this training, and all we do is cry. And it's not because... it's not because it was a crying training, but it was you uncovering yourself, right? Yeah. And the more I uncovered myself, the more I realized what I needed, the more I realized what I needed people to know about me, the more I realized what I need people to help me with or not help me with, right? So that's about advocating for yourself and just voicing out. And people wouldn't like you, and that's fine. I'm not here for people to like me. I'm here for people to understand who I am. I mean, the first time I said no to someone, they stopped talking to me, and I felt so great. I thought, thank goodness that's not a friend, right? So it was just relieving, yeah.
Okay, I need some of that in my life. When some people stop talking to me to go, phew. Still freak out over that. Kate, what does advocacy for yourself look like for you?
I think it's some of the things that I've mentioned already. It's speaking up for what I want. It is my voice being heard and not worrying about, well, does this change people's opinion of me? Because it's if this is what I want to do, then this is the path I need to follow. So I think it's back to, I think Bonzi had talked about courage. It's having the courage to speak up and say what it is I want and what others around me. Maybe I have people I'm mentoring who don't have that courage at the moment, and how can I support them and help them have the courage as well?
Yeah. And when we're talking about this, there's another question that kind of plays into this. You, the four of you, have been through your own experiences and are where you are today because of everything that has helped you, created space, and all of that stuff. You are now at a position where you are the people who are going to change lives and paths for others. So as change makers, what can you do? What's a tip you have for others to foster an inclusive organization so that you don't have to fight for yourself so hard? What's a tip you would give the audience? Sarah, let me start with you.
I'll keep this brief because I elaborated on it earlier, but advocacy is so important. I can't emphasize that enough. Advocate to bring more women and minority voices to the table, provide access to more opportunities for learning and growth, and advocate for mobility.
Thank you, Sarah. Bonzi?
I would say, openly sharing your failures. Because other women or anybody else who is listening to you, they're like, oh, I went through the same thing, but she was able to do it. So, there is hope. You can do this. It's just openly sharing that everything is not rosy. There are failures in the background. There are things that we didn't do well. So how did we overcome that? I think openly sharing what didn't work and how we overcame that is a major inspiration. That's how we can share our stories. Everybody talks about success. But why are we not talking about the failures? How did you overcome that? How did you get here?
So I'm gonna pivot this question. We're in the last 15 minutes of this panel. So we stand on the shoulders of some amazing women who've come before us. Who has been an influence in your career? Doesn't have to be a woman, but who has been an influence in your career? Whose shoulders do you stand on? Kemi?
I'm trying to think because there's so many.
I know, we don't have enough time to list all the names.
Exactly, so I don't want to call names of people, but they know themselves. From various part of my journey, people who's helped, and even the ones that have given me 5 minutes of their time to the ones that continuously give me time of theirs, even though they have other things that they are doing. And I look at out of a room, I see people, women who are succeeding, women who are lifting other women, and even men up. Those are the people I look up to. I look up to people who share knowledge, people who share information, and for me to grow and for others to grow. So those are the people I look up to. Yeah.
Thank you. Sarah?
There's so many women who've inspired me and have given me their time and energy. I have to say my mom. I won't share her whole story. We'd be here for a long time, but I've never met someone who is as bold and humble strong and bright as she is. Such an incredible combination of things to be, and I truly had a conversation with her yesterday about this, and she just shared all of the things the opportunities that we have truly as a generation that are different from hers, but just reflecting a lot on her journey and mine, and how different our paths were and our obstacles, and just taking the time to appreciate her and show her gratitude is definitely a privilege to be able to do that today. Thanks for that question.
Thank you for sharing your mother with us, Sarah. Kate?
I think it's people who've opened doors for me, whether it was to become a trainer, to become a coach, and encouraging me to step through those. It's not just opening the door and sort of on you go, it's encouraging you, and it's finding the support network of people who continue to support you as you grow throughout your career, whether it's family, whether it's friends in the community. It's finding that support network to keep encouraging you.
Thanks, Kate. Bonzi?
You know, all of the women, everybody has said here, you know, there are many, many people who help us, but there's one experience I want to share with all of you. So I was working in an organization, and there was a cleaning lady there. Okay? I knew her exact times when she would be there in that bathroom. You know, they're on their schedule. And this lady, like, she changes 3 buses and reaches the office, right? And always have a smile. Always happy, at least that's what she was showing. And you know, sometimes when a meeting didn't go well, or somebody told you something, you're upset, you're in the bathroom, you're just there, and the words they tell you, you know, like, so what? Dust yourself up. You know, it's okay if they didn't say, next time you do better, you do this. It's, you know, these words that help you. It doesn't always have to be somebody very successful in their life opening doors for you. It can be anyone who is, you know, you never know what they are going through, but they are inspiring you. They are motivating you to become better and better. So they really, you know, stay with you, these words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you pay this forward, as you mentor other people in the community, and I know one of the goals here is to increase the diversity in our community. What is one thing you want to focus on for yourselves to do more to increase this diversity, whether it's African American, Indian, women, whatever it is, Scottish, right? What is it that you want to do going forward? How do you pay it forward? Whew, big question. Kate?
I think it's continuing to connect with people. The thing that I have found very interesting over the last couple of days is people saying to me, I took your class X years ago and it made such an impact. And I sometimes struggle to think, well, am I making an impact? Am I changing anything? But hearing people say that the class has empowered them, it's changed the way they think about things, to me, it's doing more of that, but it's also doing more of the classes for some of the more diverse groups. What does that look like in my environment? Is it weekend classes, whatever it is? But it is encouraging and mentoring newer people in the community from all diverse backgrounds to speak at events like this. And it's giving them the support I feel that I've been really lucky to get. So I would like to think that we are a more inclusive community than a lot of communities. And I think it's important that we keep growing that.
Sarah, how about you?
I'd like to focus on sharing more stories and knowledge, particularly in written form, but in general. I think in the past I've fallen into the trap of thinking that whatever knowledge I have, other people already have. So is it really worth taking the time to put it out into the universe? And if anyone has a blog here, I'm sure many do, you start to see the statistics around different posts that you have and what people are really drawn to, and that we all do come from very different backgrounds and have very different experiences. And even if we've had similar experiences, having the perspective from someone else about that experience can be wildly different and incredibly insightful. And so taking the time to put that on paper, so to speak, is something I'd really like to focus on, as well as giving others more opportunities to have a platform or encouraging them to share as well.
Thank you. Bonzi.
I think in addition to what they said, it's more of giving our time to them. Spending some time mentoring them, guiding them, as our mentors did for us. Just actually helping you through the process that, okay, be aware of these speed bumps. I did it this way, maybe you can also try it that way. I can help you, get introduced here, or I can talk to that person. So it's just giving your time and guiding them. That's what I'm planning to do.
Kemi, you already do so much for mentoring and coaching. What do you focus on?
Lately, we've realized it for some time now, but we're doing something about it, that there are only 8 guide level in Scrum Alliance that are Black, so 8 Black agilists. So we're trying to increase that number. I belong to that cohort where we would offer guidance to people. Black agilists, we're focusing on just to increase diversity. We don't exclude anybody, but that's our focus group, to help them through that process. Because a lot of times I've come to realize that, like I said earlier, I'm the only Black person in the training, but what's stopping our people from joining? Bonzi said give time, but they have to give time too, right?
Yeah.
So it's making that process more accessible to people who generally would not be able to access that or have not enough information around that. So if anybody is interested, I'm not sure what is the right word to use, BIPOC, is that the word, or Black? So let me know, and we can, I can put you through to people who would help.
There you go. Thank you. So this is going to be our final question, and I'm going to put all of you on the spot here. They're like, I haven't done that for the last hour and a half, but okay. So there's a whole audience that's listening to you. They're here because you represent women, diversity, you represent product ownership, coaching, training, Scrum Master, you represent hope. People here in the audience, people watching virtually, if everybody in the audience, everybody watching could do one thing that would help increase the diversity of our community, what would you ask of them? What path would you guide them towards?
Help the next person.
Help the next. How do you do that? How do you go about doing that?
Offer the service that you have. Right. I was at the Agile 2019, and they had this board whereby people, or was it Scrum Alliance, I can't remember, it doesn't matter. I was at a conference where there was a board, and people were putting what they want, and you would go there and look at it and reach out to that person. Yeah, so help that next person, you might think that you don't have the knowledge like Sarah said, but you do, and you'll be surprised what you can impact.
Yeah. Sarah?
Ask questions. I do think that it's our responsibility as individuals to be proactive and advocate for ourselves. But I think we've all been in that place in our lives, even if it was when we were very young, where we didn't even know what we didn't know, and we didn't know what to ask. But someone stepped into your life and said, what about this? Did you know about that? And that changed the entire course of your life. And so when you can, and it's hard sometimes, right, when you have so much going on in your life and your mind at all times, so many commitments, but when you're sitting down at a table at an amazing gathering like this, just reminding yourself to ask what's going on with someone, what do they want to do next? You never know what resources and insights you are sitting with at the moment that could really change someone else's course.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Just ask questions. Don't assume they know what they want, right? Yeah, thank you for that. Kate?
I think it's being open-minded. It's looking to those in the community around us and taking time, but connecting with them and asking, what's your journey? How can I help you on that journey? And being open-minded to some of the things that you could do to help.
Yeah. Bonzi.
Take a chance on someone. Right? Give them that opportunity. So in addition to what they said, I would just say two things. Take a chance and give them that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, think of all the times you've been given that opportunity and somebody helped you and do that. Thank you so much. This has been just fun having this conversation. I think as women, we have such a powerful voice. And we have such amazing stories. And I hope you are the first of many, many women whose stories we get to hear in our community. And first of many people of diversity whose stories we get to hear, because the Scrum Alliance community is amazing. Each one of us is here because somebody in the community took a chance, gave an opportunity, asked a question, helped the next person, right? Or said, hey, go to the conference. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your amazing stories and being candid when I asked you the question that you all went, so thank you for that. And thank you for Scrum Alliance for hosting this for us. My wish is that this is the first of many. This is not, hey, we did a panel of women in Scrum, yeah, check. It would be so amazing to see panels like this with more diversity on them, and we hear stories. Communities are built on stories. Communities are built on people who have amazing stories. So our community, we have an amazing community, and we can make it so much better. So let's bring these stories together. As you spend the rest of the day with people and you bump into others, remember, ask a few questions. Give them your time. Share your story. We've started this storytelling here. Please continue this going forward. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being here this morning. You stay seated. So thank you for being here this morning. This is day 3. Enjoy your sessions today. Don't forget.